Chapter 1, The Predator's Galaxy. For over 1,000 cycles, the Velker Dominion ruled the stars. From the burned-out husks of rebellion worlds to the iron-clawed grasp it held over the Galactic Council, it was accepted as fact: resistance was pointless. The Velker were not merely conquerors, they were evolution perfected. Apex predators with obsidian-black scales, thermal vision eyes, and a brain wired for war. And they had never known fear. So when a new species, primitive, unregistered, and transmitting crude electromagnetic signals from a small blue planet in a fringe system, surfaced on the Dominion's long-range scans, it was treated as a minor curiosity. Something to be catalogued, analyzed, and, if necessary, extinguished. No one expected Earth to be different. Commander Galactic, the bridge officer, rasped, his talons poised over a glowing control panel. "We've intercepted an anomalous signal from System J9432. Quadrant Omega Fringe." Galactic's tongue flicked in irritation. Another insect nest? Or just another species whining into the void? The officer hesitated. Neither. The emissions are complex. They contain structured languages and sequences we've only observed in high-order societies. And Commander, it's not just radio. They've begun bouncing directed energy around their own orbital layer. Weapon calibration. Or communication. Galactic rose from his command throne, massive tail dragging behind him. "Prepare the silent maw. I'll take a scout team. If these creatures have reached pre-warp, I want their tech stripped and their world sterilized before the Council gets wind of it." As the warship's engines rumbled to life, none aboard the silent maw questioned the outcome. It was just another hunt. Earth's orbit, 3 standard days later. In the cold silence of space, Silent Maw shimmered into existence, warping in behind the shadow of Earth's moon. Galactic stood on the observation deck, peering at the planet below. "Primitive looking," he sneered. "Atmospheric inconsistencies. Carbon-based life. Judging by emissions, they're still burning dead matter for energy. Charming." He turned to his tech specialist. "Launch microprobes. Begin telemetry sweep. Let's see what our new prey tastes like." But something was wrong. Less than 10 minutes into passive scans, the probes started malfunctioning. Sensor feeds glitched. Signal echoes bounced back in strange patterns. Galactic's snarl deepened. "Are they jamming us?" "No, Commander," the tech hissed. "They're mimicking our signal format. They're responding." The bridge dimmed. A screen blinked alive. A human face appeared. Dark-haired. Calm-eyed. Uniformed. Female. "This is Captain Elena Ramirez of Earth United Defense Command," she said crisply. "We are aware of your presence. Your ship has violated our space." Galactic recoiled. "They've translated? Already?" "They can't possibly," another officer stammered. Ramirez continued, unbothered. "We've analyzed your scan patterns and have several of your drones. Nicely built. Ours now." Galactic roared. "This is a Dominion warship, not a trading vessel. You dare address me without fear?" Ramirez smiled, showing teeth. "Oh, we're afraid," she said. "We just don't freeze. We get creative." A sharp chime interrupted. Warning lights flared across the Velker bridge. "External systems down," barked the tech. "They've jammed our passive cloak. We're exposed." "How?" "They've looped our own telemetry feeds. We're flying blind." A blinding pulse of electromagnetic radiation surged across the ship's systems. Not destructive, surgical. Precision disruption. Galactic's ship spiraled momentarily before regaining control. Ramirez's final words crackled through before the feed was cut. "We see you." 2 hours later, in the debriefing chamber aboard Silent Maw, Galactic paced like a caged beast. "Impossible," he muttered. "How did prey detect us? They should barely be launching satellites, let alone identifying cloak scouts." In that message, she was mocking us. The room was silent. None dared speak. Then, quietly, the ship's intelligence officer offered, "Commander, if I may. What if they're not prey?" Koreak whipped around. "You challenge the evolutionary order?" The officer lowered his gaze. "No, Commander. I suggest, perhaps, they evolved differently. Adapted not by fangs and claws, but by pattern recognition. Pack strategy. Psychological warfare." Koreak growled. "Are you suggesting emotional creatures could rival the Dominion?" "Commander," the officer said cautiously, "this species fights not just with tools, but with ideas." Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Ramirez stood inside the orbital defense station, arms crossed, watching the live satellite feed. "Did we get everything?" she asked. "Most of it," said Lieutenant John. "We spoofed their scans, cloned 2 of their drones mid-flight, and spliced into their internal comms. The EMP burst didn't damage them, just scrambled their systems long enough to make a point." "Good," Ramirez nodded. "Let them know we saw them, understood them, and didn't flinch." Dr. Anwar stepped forward, tablet in hand. "The psychological profile is consistent. Predatory dominance culture. Likely minimal understanding of empathy, bluffing, or irrational behavior. If we use unpredictability and moral ambiguity, we can keep them off balance." Ramirez grinned. "So basically, we scare the hell out of them by being human." Jean chuckled. "What now?" Ramirez looked out the viewport, Earth glinting below. "Now? We prepare. That was a scout. Which means the wolves are coming." In the Velker Dominion's central war chamber, Koreak knelt before the High Strategos. The creature identified herself as Captain Ramirez of Earth. Koreak growled. "She manipulated our sensors, infiltrated our data relays, and disabled a Class 7 cloaking field. Without ever firing a shot." The High Strategos narrowed his yellow eyes. "And this Earth, what strength do they have?" Koreak hesitated. "Unknown. Their technology is crude by appearance. But, deceptive. Their command structure is strange, fragmented but efficient. They share data instantly. Multiple nations operating as one. They adapt." The chamber stirred. Murmurs among the elders. "Do they fear us?" one asked. Koreak's mandibles twitched. "I believe they understand fear. But they use it differently. Not to avoid battle." He looked up. "But to sharpen their claws. Emotional and thematic beats. Arrogance versus adaptability, the Velker represent traditional, brute force supremacy. Humanity shows that intelligence and innovation can be even more dangerous." First glimpse of HFY, without firing a shot, humans turn a predator empire's assumptions inside out. Tone, awe, tension, and subtle humor, especially through the stark difference in how each species processes fear and confrontation. World building established. Velker Dominion, apex predators with advanced war tech, a brutal hierarchical society, and contempt for empathy or emotion. Humanity, united under a planetary defense coalition. Still relatively young in the galactic sense, but unpredictable, tech-savvy, and emotionally complex. Tech flavor. Human tech is a mix of late 21st century realism and sci-fi ingenuity, stealth, hacking, and signal warfare used unconventionally. Would you like to continue with Chapter 2, or do you want revisions or additions to this one? Location, Earth orbit, UDC Command Station Vigilance. Captain Elena Ramirez stood at the edge of the observation deck, sipping cold coffee that had long gone bitter. Below, Earth spun slowly, oblivious to how close they had come to a galactic reckoning. The stars, once symbols of aspiration, now had teeth and claws. "You think they'll come back?" asked Lieutenant John, stepping beside her. "They're predators," Elena said, eyes narrowed. "They won't accept humiliation. That was a scouting vessel. Next time, they'll come with a fleet. Any chance they'll try diplomacy?" She gave him a sideways look. "They didn't show up asking to talk." They showed up cloaked. Zhang sighed. So what do? We prepare. And we do what humans have always done when something bigger wants to eat us. She turned, steel in her voice. We form a pack. Location, Velker Core System, Council of Fangs. The chamber was dim, lit by flickering plasma veins running through obsidian walls. The air smelled of ozone and blood. High Strategos Varrix towered above his commanders. His voice slithered with contempt. This Earth is not even listed in the archives. A backwater. Unregistered. And you, Koreak, fled before even tasting their defenses. Koreak snarled, but did not rise. I did not flee. I survived. So the Dominion could learn. Varrix's eyes glowed with interest. Then teach us, Hunter. Koreak stood. They are not like prey. Not mindless. Not herd beasts. They think in layers. Lie with ease. Coordinate with no central scent. He paused, letting the weight of the words fall. They are weak. But they are not predictable. An ancient elder stirred, voice dry as dust. This smells like danger. Worse, Koreak replied. It smells like warfare we do not understand. Location, Earth, UDC Joint Command Assembly. General Akintala, towering in full dress uniform, addressed the assembled Global Council of Military and Scientific Minds. We've confirmed it, she said. The alien vessel was Dominion, Velker make. We've got drone debris, sensor logs, and the full transmission history. The good news? We scared them. A murmur of approval. The bad news, she continued. Predators don't run. They stalk. And when they return, it'll be to dominate or destroy. We're facing an apex species built for war. So unless we want Earth to become an archaeological curiosity, we need to act like we're already at war. Dr. Anwar stepped forward. We've started reverse engineering their scout drone. The tech is well beyond ours in propulsion and material science. But their data systems? Surprisingly linear. Unencrypted. Arrogant. So what can we do with it? A senator asked. Plenty, Anwar replied, with a grin. Start with propaganda. Then sabotage. And maybe send them a little gift. 3 days later, edge of the solar system. A small, uncrewed probe, no larger than a trash can, floated silently toward the edge of human space. Inside was a cube of Dominion design, except it now carried a message burned into its hull in every known galactic language. You are being watched. And below it, in human English. You were never the first predators here. Location, Velker Border Post Krastoon. The probe's arrival caused immediate alarm. Not because it posed any threat, but because it shouldn't have gotten there. No propulsion signature. No thermal trail. No warp residue. It floated here, through 6 border systems, hissed the lead sensor officer. Koreak stared at the message etched into the hull. The symbols were foreign. Crude. But the tone? Mocking. Deliberate. Strategic. Where's Earth located? He barked. The cartographer hunched over a star map. Quadrant Omega Fringe. Sector J9432. Nearly 300 light cycles out. They threw this through our space, and we never saw it, Koreak growled. It wasn't just a message. It was a challenge. Location, Earth, Secure UDC Communications Hub. Back on Earth, Elena and Anwar reviewed the sensor taps still linked to the modified Dominion drone. It was acting like a ghost tap, picking up chatter on their internal channels. They're pissed, Anwar reported. Confused. They're trying to figure out how we track them. Their analysts are scrambling to reverse engineer our primitive tactics. Good, Ramirez muttered. Confusion is our weapon. Let's give them more of it. Character development beats. Elena Ramirez solidifies her role as humanity's unofficial point of contact, equal parts strategist and warrior. She leads not just with tactics, but psychology. Karyak is evolving from a typical predator into a dangerous opponent, one beginning to learn from his prey. Dr. Anwar and Lieutenant Zhang showcase the diversity of human response, intellect, humor, and emotional insight, traits unfamiliar and disorienting to Velker thinking. Tactical development. Earth begins asymmetrical warfare, psychological ops, signal deception, and passive infiltration. Humanity leverages its underdog status to redefine the rules, fighting not in space, but in perception. Velker are technologically superior, but strategically rigid and used to enemies who taunt, adapt, and hit outside expected rules of engagement. Tone and themes. HFY themes intensify, unpredictability, lateral thinking, and camaraderie win over brute force. Earth begins the fight not by building bigger guns, but by changing the game. Humor woven with tension, Earth trolling a galactic empire with a modified drone is bold, funny, and deeply unsettling to its enemies. Escalation begins. The war hasn't started yet, but the groundwork is being laid. Both sides are maneuvering, and only one understands the full emotional complexity of what's coming. Closing scene, Velker Dominion. High Strategos Varrix holds the human probe in one claw. They think themselves clever, he growled. Throwing shadows and riddles. Karyak stepped forward. They fight like nothing we've faced. But not because they are strong. Varrix looked up. They are weak, yes, Karyak continued. But they have each other. They fight like packs. One falls, another bites. He held up a datapad. A human proverb blinked across the screen. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Varrix crushed the datapad, but his silence was uneasy. They're not a prey world, Karyak whispered. They're a pack world. Would you like to continue with Chapter 3, or make any edits to this chapter first? Location, Outer Solar System, Earth Forward Outpost Argus. Captain Elena Ramirez squinted at the holographic model of the solar system as it flickered to life. Red lines traced orbital paths, white dots marked Dominion probe sightings, and a looming, dark red icon now pulsed ominously near Neptune's orbit. They're back, said Lieutenant Zhang. And they brought a friend. The hologram zoomed in to reveal a Dominion cruiser-class ship, 10 times the mass of the Silent Maw, with weapons arrays, layered shielding, and what they now knew to be an adaptive AI command spine. They're scanning. Slow and methodical. No cloaking this time, Zhang added. They're not just scouting now, Ramirez said. They're testing our defenses. Figuring out our patterns. Dr. Anwar stepped in from the lab bay, eyes gleaming with barely contained energy. Then let's give them patterns. Elena raised an eyebrow. You've got something? Oh, I've got several somethings. Location, Velker Cruiser Blood-Marked Fawn. Commander, Karyak. Karyak paced the command deck, surrounded by officers still too proud to admit they were nervous. Surface scans show increasing orbital activity. Energy grids fluctuating. Decoy patterns. They're trying to look weak, said the science officer. No, Karyak corrected. They're trying to look predictable. The officer blinked. Why would prey want to appear predictable? Karyak growled. Because when prey wants you to act a certain way, it's already dug the pit trap beneath your paws. He tapped the viewing console, bringing up Earth's electromagnetic spectrum. They want us to assume they're vulnerable. That we can strike before they're ready. Karyak narrowed his eyes. I won't fall for it. Location, Earth Defense Command, Black Ice Tactical Lab. Anwar stood at the head of a bustling control room. Ramirez and General Quintela were listening intently. We studied their response times from the last incursion, Anwar began. Their reaction is delayed when they detect multiple threat vectors, almost as if they rely on rigid protocols. Too structured? Quintela asked. Exactly, Anwar confirmed. If we simulate 10 different tactical anomalies at once, they waste time triaging rather than prioritizing. Their systems are too centralized. And your plan? Ramirez asked. We don't attack directly. We simulate dozens of phantom incursions across the solar system. Make them think the battlefield is everywhere and nowhere. He smiled. Then we strike where they least expect it, inside their ship. Key infiltration plan, Ghost Light Protocol. Objective, get a cyber infiltration payload onto the Dominion ship using one of their own recovered drones. Method. Retrofit a stolen Dominion scout drone with Earth stealth electronics. Use their own signal formats and thermal profiles to sneak it into the ship during a fake engagement. Once aboard, release a digital ghost virus, custom-built to exploit the Dominion's command AI rigidity. Outcome hoped for, not to destroy the ship, but to confuse, blind, and embarrass it. Humiliation as a form of warfare. Ramirez nodded. Make it happen. But give it some personality. Already done, Anwar grinned. 12 hours later, battle simulation engagement. 10 simultaneous attacks launched from Earth's outer defensive grid. Simulated orbital cannon charges near Mars. Stealth signatures mimicking anti-ship missiles near Europa. Spoofed laser targeting systems over Titan. Decoy nuclear launch trails from Earth itself. The Dominion warship braced for a coordinated strike. Fighters launched. Shields cycled. Energy cannons spun up. But none of the attacks ever hit. And in the chaos, a single rogue drone floated silently into the hangar bay of the blood-marked Fong, unscanned and unnoticed. Location, Dominion warship bridge. Commander, anomaly in Deck 7, maintenance shaft 12B, motion sensors flickered. Rodents? Koreak snapped. No, Commander. Temperature fluctuation. Electrical feedback. Koreak paused. Something in his stomach twisted. Quarantine the section. Scan every signal. I want. The lights flickered. Then pulsed. A faint, musical chime echoed through the bridge. And then a voice, a human voice, spoke through every Dominion console. Welcome aboard. Your call is important to us. Please hold for a tactical representative. Koreak's spines rose. Shut it down. Officers scrambled, growling and hissing. Systems blinked erratically. The lights now cycled in garish Earth colors, red, white, blue. Initiating error diagnostics, reason for visit, invasion. Noted. You appear to have taken a wrong turn near Sol system. Would you like directions to the nearest defeat? Then, a final message. We see you. We knew you'd come. And now, so does your entire fleet. The screens cut to static. Then went black. Earth's global broadcast, open transmission. Across Dominion space, an open subspace transmission suddenly crackled into life. A single image, the blood-marked Fong rotating helplessly, its lights strobing, seemingly incapacitated. Then a simple human message. To all predators, you found us. Congratulations. Now run. Dominion Council emergency session. Varric slammed a claw against the stone table, cracking it. They mock us. In front of every client species, every council. Koreak stood calmly. They want us to strike in rage. To charge in blinded. Varric bared his fangs. Then what do you propose? We study them. Understand the prey's mind. Fight them not as beasts, but as equals in cunning. You dare call them equals? No, Koreak said. I call them dangerous. Because they cooperate. And because they laugh in the face of death. Varric fell silent. The Dominion had never faced a foe that enjoyed the game. Back on Earth, Victory Room, UDC headquarters. Celebration was tempered. Ramirez stood before the command staff. We didn't win a war. We just survived the first round. Anwar nodded. But we proved something. You don't need to be the biggest to be the baddest. Or the loudest, Zhang added. Just the most annoying. Everyone chuckled. Then Ramirez turned serious. The next fleet won't make the same mistakes. They'll adapt. So we don't get comfortable. She looked around the room. We make Earth the hardest hunt they've ever had. Key character developments. Ramirez continues leading with intellect, grit, and psychological savvy. She doesn't need overwhelming firepower, just overwhelming creativity. Anwar solidifies his role as a techno-strategic wildcard, with a flair for psychological mischief. Koreak evolves further, transitioning from arrogance to respect for humanity as a threat. He becomes the first Velker to truly listen. Major conflicts and turning points. Battle without bullets. Humanity wins the encounter without firing a shot, just misdirection, infiltration, and psychological warfare. Human tech versus Dominion rigidity. Human weakness is its strength, chaos is its method. First tactical victory. Earth lands its first direct blow. Small, but devastating in reputation. Emotional and thematic beats. HFY peak. Cleverness overcomes power. Humans wage mimetic war and win. Tone mix. Comedy, the ship prank, tension, infiltration, and awe, broadcasted warning, blend seamlessly. Evolution of fear. Velker are no longer just annoyed, they're rattled. Would you like to continue with Chapter 4, The Final Hunt, or revise/add details to this chapter? Location, Dominion High Council Chamber, Velker Prime. Silence choked the once-roaring chamber. High Strategos Varrix paced before a hololith showing Earth, a single blue dot in a galaxy of conquest. Our scouts humiliated. Our cruiser shamed. Our systems infiltrated, he hissed. By an unknown species on a single planet world. A subordinate coughed nervously. Perhaps, we negotiate? Varrix world. We do not speak to vermin. We exterminate them. Koreak stepped forward from the shadows. His armor was scorched, his eyes, calm. With respect, High Strategos, Earth is not prey. They are something else. Varrix bared his fangs. You grow cowardly. I grow wise, Koreak countered. And that frightens you. A hush fell. They defeated us, Koreak continued, not with weapons, but with insight. Trickery. Unity. They are not strong individually, but together. He held up a talon. They are a pack of nightmares. Varrix snarled. Then we wipe them out. Entirely. Bring the fleet. Location, Earth orbit, UDC Vigilance Command. Alarms echoed. Commander Ramirez stood before a vast tactical display. Red dots filled the screen, 12 Dominion warships, closing in fast. They're not testing us anymore, said Lieutenant Jean grimly. No, Ramirez agreed. This is the kill shot. Dr. Anwar appeared on a separate screen from an underground lab. I've seen their formation, classic Velker encirclement pattern. They'll collapse on us like a jaw. One shot, full annihilation. We can't stop that much firepower, Zhang muttered. Anwar smiled faintly. Not with force. But maybe with something worse, hope. The plan, Operation Ghost Howl. Earth's last gambit wasn't a weapon. It was a message. Using Dominion communication frequencies, Earth would send a galaxy-wide broadcast, a call not just to the Dominion, but to the entire galactic network of minor species, slave worlds, and conquered planets. A declaration. A challenge. A spark. 2 hours later, open subspace broadcast. The message blared on every Dominion channel. Unhackable. Untraceable. Unignorable. A human woman, Elena Ramirez, appeared on screen, standing before Earth, arms crossed, eyes burning with defiance. To those who kneel to the Velker, look at us. One world. No empire. No colonies. No fleets. And yet we made them bleed. They called us prey. They underestimated us. So we have a question, what would happen if you stood up too? If you've tasted their boot, their chain, their fangs, join us. Or watch what one pack can do. Then the screen cut to the disabled blood-marked fawn, still adrift. Still broken. The Dominion laughed, until it noticed the responses. Location, Velker Fleet, en route to Earth. Koreak stood on the bridge of the Vengeance Claw, eyes closed, ears twitching. Multiple unauthorized signals incoming, an officer reported. Across hundreds of Dominion slave sectors. Koreak opened his eyes slowly. It's begun. Moments later, Dominion command vessels across several systems lit up with internal rebellion, slave crews sabotaging drives, destroying communication relays, broadcasting Earth's call. One species, the Goran, had turned an entire shipyard into a fireball. 1,000 years of fear, cracked by a 90-second message. The Earthlings had weaponized inspiration. Location, Earth Defense Grid. Zhang monitored the incoming fleet. 2 ships just dropped from formation. Internal power surges. Mutiny? Anwar's screen lit up. I'm getting confirmation, insurrection on Velker-occupied worlds. We've just turned one war into 100 rebellions. Ramirez nodded solemnly. Then we hold. You sure? Zhang asked. They're still coming. Yeah, she said. But now they're bleeding from the inside. Climactic battle, Earth orbit. The Dominion fleet arrived. 10 ships now, 2 gone silent. Earth responded, not with a massive counterattack, but with guerrilla swarms. Disposable drones mimicking human life signs. Hacked Dominion decoy codes. Ion flares designed to scramble Velker sensors. Coordinated orbital flashes mimicking nuclear detonations. Inside this chaos, Dominion ships fired, but at phantoms. One cruiser spun to track what it thought was a battalion of warships. It was a fleet of metallic weather balloons armed with jammers. Another ship fired a plasma torpedo at what turned out to be a projection bouncing off Earth's magnetic field. They're lost, Ramirez whispered, awestruck. We turned their strength into confusion. But one ship, the Vengeance Claw, broke through. Koreak. The duel, human versus predator. Ramirez knew she'd have to face him. The Vengeance Claw deployed a drop capsule directly toward Vigilance, Velker elite warriors within. Ramirez met them on Deck 3 with a squad of hardened UDC Marines. Laser fire tore through corridors. Explosions rocked the hull. Marines fell, aliens howled. Then, silence. She stepped forward, bloodied, rifle hot, until she found him. Koreak. Larger than any human, armored, clawed. But not smiling. You should have fled, he rasped. You should have thought we couldn't fight, she shot back. They charged. Metal clanged. Claws raked. Her rifle jammed, she used it like a club. He swung, struck, she ducked and plunged a knife between his ribs. He hissed and fell to one knee. I studied you, he gasped. You are not warriors. We're worse, she said. She jammed a flash drive spike into his armor. He twitched. What is this? The truth, she whispered. Live stream to the galaxy. Everyone's watching the apex predator fall. Koreak looked into her eyes and finally saw it. Not rage. Not hatred. Resolve. He fell. Aftermath, 1 week later. The Dominion fleet withdrew, crippled by sabotage, rebellion, and viral despair. The galaxy shifted. Dozens of worlds declared independence. Velker warlords retreated to their own systems, paranoid and splintered. And Earth? Earth was now more than a curiosity. It was a symbol. A dangerous one. Location, Galactic Free Forum, former Dominion controlled. Leaders from 20 newly freed species sat in a crude diplomatic chamber. A battered Velker banner lay folded on the floor. At the head of the table sat a human delegation, Ramirez, Zhang, Anwar. We're not here to rule, Ramirez said. We're not building an empire. But we won't kneel either, Anwar added. So if you want freedom, security, and a little chaos, you've got family now. the alien leaders murmured. A single question was asked. What are you? Ramirez smiled. Humans. She glanced at Zhang. But more importantly. Anwar leaned in, grinning. We're the ones you call when the predators come. Key character arcs concluded. Elena Ramirez becomes the symbolic leader of a galactic resistance, not through force, but resolve, leadership, and cunning. Dr. Anwar shows that humanity's greatest weapon is not tech or ships, but ideas. Kariak's arc completes. He recognizes, too late, that Earth's strength lies in cooperation, unpredictability, and the willingness to die for one another. Lieutenant Zhang evolves into Ramirez's trusted second, his quiet wit offsetting the weight of command. Major HFY themes delivered. Ingenuity over strength. Earth didn't outgun the Dominion, they outthought them. Unity is power. Humanity's pack mindset disrupts the rigid hierarchy of the Dominion. Emotional warfare. Inspiration becomes a weapon that spreads rebellion. Moral clarity. Humans choose not to dominate but to liberate, and that terrifies the galaxy more than conquest. Tone and impact. One small world caused a galactic empire to crumble. Tension. The battle in orbit is chaotic, desperate, and asymmetric. Humor. Earth's trolling tactics still carry undertones of absurd brilliance. Satisfaction. The HFY payoff is earned, not by brute strength, but by bold, creative resistance. Would you like an epilogue, a spin-off setup, or perhaps help converting this story into a novella or script format?